Hey, good morning. I'm Jessica Couch, and I have here my friend Diana with me this morning. And Diana and I spoke the other day and had a great conversation. I was like, we need to throw you on the podcast. We have so much good stuff to dive into. So, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your business and what you do?
Absolutely. So, Jessica, first of all, thank you so much for having me. And my name is Diana Kleckner, and I am a personal trainer, but also business owner of Bridge Fitness, which is an online personal training studio. I'm a certified pain-free performance specialist, so I'm a coach. And I do virtual prescriptive exercise programs. And so what that means is I help people wherever they are with the needs that they have, and more importantly, the goals they have, right here from my home setting, in their home setting or their gym setting, wherever they want to be moving. And I construct programs for them to help them move their and feel their best so that they gain access to any part of life that they're wanting to be able to explore. So I have the best job in the world.
That is a very different business model than a typical coach that I find at the gym. And when you emailed me, I saw your Bridge Fitness with the. You'll have to remind me of what the move is in yoga. Is it camel?
Yeah, so it's I have a glute bridge in my as my logo, and my concept is that I picked the name bridge because first of all, it's an actual movement, right? It's a glute bridge, and it applies to yoga too because I'm also a certified yoga teacher.
Of course you
But
are.
it also, like, to me, embodies that idea that every single one of us has a beginning place and a place we'd like to be going. And I hope in my business, in my work with an individual, that we're going to bridge the gap between where we are and where we'd like to be. So that's how come I picked my business name.
I love
Yeah.
that. Well, I was very attracted to everything on your website right away. And just the bottom of your email, I think, sums up kind of who you are enough that I was like, I need to talk to this girl.
Love it.
So one of the first questions that I had asked you, and I think we need to expand on, is how do you find you're able to motivate clients to incorporate this mind-body experience? If a client comes to you and they're like, I just want to get in shape, and you find it's more than just getting in shape. Maybe they don't know that yet. Maybe their goal is different than what you see that they really need. How do you incorporate that?
Absolutely. So, the first thing that came to mind is what we talked about on the phone the other day, and that's that if the person and what they want to achieve, if they're human like you and I, they're kind of like an onion, okay? And probably the gym goal, which, like, the expression of that is going to be somebody saying to me, I want to lose weight, or I want to look this particular way, or I want to fit into these particular clothes. That is an expression of something that's on the surface of the onion. And if I can ask the right questions, I'm going to actually get to the root of why did you want to lose weight? What does losing weight enable you to do? What kind of experience are you going to have in your life because you feel lighter? What kind of experience are you going to have that's different than right now if you look this other way? And so what I do is I'm going to ask a series of questions when I'm getting to know someone, and I'm going to try, and I'll tell you, this is hard to do, and you're a coach too, so you know this, but I end up asking why, good, and then why. And so we're basically trying to move deeper and deeper through that onion until we get this nugget. And this nugget is this deeper rooted experience or this life that this person wants to live. And there's probably a solution that I have with my training programs that's going to not just help them accomplish that said weight loss goal or that said aesthetic goal, but it's going to actually help them, like, live the way that they want to live. And that's what I ultimately want to help them do.
Do you find that happens more often than not, where you come in with an exercise goal and then you end up with sort of a whole life goal that uncovers as you peel back the onion?
Absolutely. So the truth is that, like, when we think about what motivates us, and being an online trainer, you have to really unpack motivation, because you're not going to show up at your gym and somebody's going to meet you. And a lot of times that's what motivates someone to do their workout. They're like, oh, I've paid for this, and somebody's there, and I'm kind of ruining their day if I don't show up. So that motivates them to go. And that's an external motivation. When I'm doing my discovery calls, which is kind of my initial experience that I have with my clients as I'm getting to know them, I want to unpack the onion enough that whatever that root middle layer is in the onion, their why behind the what they're going to be
Mhm.
doing, then they're intrinsically motivated to achieve their goal. So I'm going to prescribe their workout. They don't have a set time that they're meeting me, but
Ah,
I've tied enough into their deep why that they feel motivated to do that workout program consistently enough that they're going to actually achieve that goal.
I love that. So one of the things we talked about, because we met at a business network, I do a lot of chamber. I love the chamber. I can't say enough about chamber and really getting involved in your community. And the group was it was speed dating style, which I thought was so fun. So you got to meet everybody in 2-minute increments. And that was one of the questions I had asked you. How do you apply this mind body awareness when you're out meeting business contacts and networking? How do you know if it's a good fit? How do you keep that spirit alive while you're out meeting people and not, I guess, meeting people just in this business life that don't align with your mind and body, or you don't align in all these other ways? How do you do that with business networking?
Absolutely. So business networking is it's so phenomenal, but I think it has to do with our mindset of how we're coming into it. So the
Mm,
number one thing that I think about with networking is that I want to foster a healthy community. And that means when I'm coming to a networking event, I'm not only thinking, how can these people lift me up? But I need to be thinking around, how can I lift them up? Right.
mm,
And
so good.
so, like, literally, I'm like the forklift lady. I'm like, how can we all be like lifting each other? Okay. So, because the opposite of that is just our life sinking,
Hmm.
sinking down into a pit. And so the thing that I think about with this networking is like, what can I do with my time and attention to listen to what it is that you offer and
Hmm.
give you the kind of acknowledgement and interest that I'm hoping you give back to me. And
Mm,
that's like I scratch your back, you scratch mine, right? In a
right.
business model.
Yeah.
And I have a great experience of this past weekend. I'm a mom of two. I have a 3 and 7 year old,
Oh, wow.
and I like self care. Hey, let's try to find it somewhere in
Yes.
there. And so I met a masseuse at the networking event that you just shared about, the speed networking, and I need a massage. But I also know that probably if I have had a massage and I can speak to that massage with all of my clients who live locally, then
Hmm.
now I have a person that I can refer. And
Hmm.
then probably she's going to be working on people, and there's going to actually be an exercise prescription solution for them. And now she's met and connected with me, and I've scratched her back,
Hmm.
right? And now she can scratch mine. And
Hmm.
so here I go. I'm like end of the day Friday, let's get on the
Yeah.
books for Saturday. And I went and treated myself to a massage. And
Oh,
it
no.
was a wonderful experience. And I don't have to get tethered to the idea that she's going to refer to me if I can already believe that I received the benefit of the connection with her, because I did, right? I got a
Mhm.
massage.
Yeah.
And now I have this wonderful relationship with her where I'm now able to refer out, and I'm
Hmm.
also able to treat myself to her product, time and time again as I move forward into the future. So I really like that forklift concept of like, we're in community, we're coming
Hmm.
off of a ladder of hierarchy of like, you're a specialist in this, I'm a specialist in this, and we're putting ourselves on rungs that are
Hmm.
higher and lower than one another. Instead, I'm going to come down into the circle. We're all equals. We all have a shared goal of
Hmm.
being supported and giving support, right? And then when we all come down to that equal playing field at those networking types of events, we're able to go ahead and cruise forward, supporting each other and being
Hmm.
supported by others.
I
So,
love that.
feels
I mean,
good.
not scripted, but I firmly, firmly believe from the time I've been in business for myself, which has been most of my adult life, my goal has been to send out 4 referrals a week to other businesses. And I think living within that abundant mindset, I know, I'm like, I go back to this all the time. It's biblical, like it comes back tenfold. So I don't
Mm-hmm.
need to worry about if I send Diana a referral, Diana's sending a referral back. I need to worry about sending out 4 referrals a week to my business partners that I love and I want to support and I want to help. And I wanted the forklift is the first time I've heard this when you mentioned it, but I love that idea. And if I'm
Yeah,
sending it out, universally, it comes back.
it's
It
coming right
doesn't have
back.
to be I send you, you send me. It just
Yeah,
comes back. And we can be part of that very abundant mindset and you get others on that same page or they're already there, then it's this like great symbiotic relationship that I want more of. I want more of that in
absolutely.
business. So I love the way you
Yeah.
described that because you had spoke about this really, filling up your cup, which is one of the questions I had asked you, like, who, one of the questions I always ask when I'm at a meeting is, who is your ideal client? Or I have a few other follow-up questions, but that's like always my first one. Who is your ideal client? So can you speak to that and who your ideal client
Yeah.
is?
Yeah, so I want to answer this kind of in two parts. So my ideal client right now is a version of myself. I call it my busy parent and professional.
Mm,
So this is somebody who's like, whoa, I want to be somebody who exercises so that my life is vibrant and I'm energized for both my work day and my parenting life and day.
mhm,
And so I'm working with those individuals and I'm creating really clear and concise short workouts. Most of these folks are actually working out in their home so that they're skipping the drive to and from the gym, and they're getting great results because they're consistent. So
mm,
that's one of my clients. And then being a pain-free performance specialist and also just being a person who worked in big box gyms for 9.5 years and
mm,
also having my yoga background, I like to work with the active aging adult.
mm,
And I like to put the active aging adult in there and not the active aging senior or any like other
mhm.
flashy terms, because let's be honest, we're actually all active aging adults after the
Sure.
point of 18. And so this encompasses like what kind of preventative health measures do we want to work on a regular basis with a coach that's going to
Mhm,
help us prevent the fall over the Costco curb or
mhm.
the ability to, hey, do you want to be able to bend down and put dog food in your dog's bowl
Ah,
when you're 80, like so that your dog is fed? So I want to make these movements of daily living more comfortable for those folks. And so I'm working with both the busy parent and professional, and I'm also working with the active aging adult, which is literally myself many years in the past all the way up
ah,
throughout my life. And I
I
really
love it.
believe that fitness is lifelong, and so
Mhm,
fitness, we want to think about it as something that we're coming to continuously over and over again. And a lot of times we're getting on and off the train in our fitness journey. And my solutions, I always hope to make the train attractive enough that you're just
okay.
going to actually get on and stay on because you're going to know clearly what to be doing and you're getting the benefit of it. The other part that I wanted to talk about when it comes to the ideal client, so you asked this question, and I was
Yeah.
like, I'm going to answer that twofold. It means that I'm confident enough in my product, in my memberships, that when someone's coming to me and we're doing that, we're peeling our onion and we're asking these why questions, and they keep wanting something different than what
Mm,
I offer, I can be true to myself in saying, this is how I'm running business,
uh-huh.
and I can decrease friction, right? Friction is me like contorting myself and saying, "Oh, you want that product? Let me bend and mold and contort myself to have a product that's right for you," instead of getting to the underlying motivation of why this person wants that. And then maybe I'm going to go, "Hey, I love what goals you have and the way in which you see yourself achieving them. But I'm in this type structure today and I'm not doing that anymore." Right. And then I'm gonna refer out,
Mm,
right? I'm gonna first see, is there a
uh-huh.
version of what I'm offering that's attractive to them that doesn't make me go into my like friction zone where I'm like, oh, I'm
Yeah.
really like accommodating this person to an extreme. And then I'm gonna say, hey, it doesn't look like you and I are an ideal fit, but I
Mhm,
know blank and blank over here at this location. It seems like that's going to be a really great fit for you. Or, hey,
mhm,
let me do some research and see if there's somebody in your area that's going to be a really good fit. And I can end in a really positive relationship with that person I've supported another person in my network, and I'm not gonna have friction in every single one of my days because I'm trying to accommodate that person that's not a good fit for me. So that's my twofold. I've got my ideal client, and then sometimes they're not my ideal client, and I don't have to force them to be
Yeah.
my ideal client.
No, I love that. I love that you have that alternative of referring someone out so that you can stay true to what you're doing. Because I find I'm a people pleaser. And when I tend to bend more than is comfortable and get myself into situations that are really not what I want to do, but I go outside the scope of what I do and what hours I work and I'm doing all of the bending. I always go back and go, why did I do that? Let's really set a better intention next time. So I love
Absolutely.
that you can just refer out. That brings me to my next question about like what really fills up your cup about working with your ideal client, and how do you know that your cup is being filled?
Absolutely. So, um, like I think I was sharing with you, I like to look at my day through like reflection
Uh,
of self-awareness. So, and I always want to remind people that this doesn't mean that you like meditate perfectly for 10 minutes every morning, but maybe it
uh-huh.
does. But maybe you're able to like be in tune and in touch with yourself enough that
Mhm.
when you're leaving an event or you've finished up with a client, that you give yourself like a minute to reflect, like, how do I feel? Okay.
Mm,
And so recently went to the chamber, the women's circle, which meets once a month on a Wednesday. And so I went to this group of networking that was all women in business. And I like talk about being on cloud nine. I was
uh-huh.
like having such a wonderful experience being there, listening and then sharing and finding ourselves right. It's that embodiment of that
Hmm.
circle concept. We've gotten off the ladder and we're all there to support each other. And then as I drove away, I did a self check in, and I thought, a couple of things. My plate is really full, right? So if my plate is really full, do I want to add more things to my plate?
Hmm.
And so I have to ask myself, like, how did that experience feel on a deep level? Did it lift me up? Did it make me
Hmm.
feel energized? Did I feel inspired by the other people I was around? Do I feel as if I inspired others?
Hmm.
And if that's the answer, if it's a yes, then I want to keep doing that, right?
Hmm.
I want to say I have a full plate and I'm going to add this to my plate. Now, if I were to drive away from something different and do that self check-in, which has to happen, I mean, for me, it has to
Uh-huh.
happen like
Yeah.
all the time throughout the day, is to have self-awareness.
Hmm.
If I'm going to drive away and I'm going to go, wow, you know, I think, and I know you know this, Jessica, but like we can pick up on like something about that didn't feel quite right, and maybe I
Uh-huh.
can go a layer further and try to understand what that is. But I have to evaluate that, and I
Hmm.
have to stop putting that on my plate if that's like not a good feel good thing
Hmm.
all the time, and consider that I've got a lot on my plate already. And so that's a practice of understanding when to say yes and when to say
Hmm.
no. And when I'm saying no, it doesn't mean that I am going to be negative towards that person who asked me. I can be really gracious. I can say, wow, it like really lifts me up to think that you thought of me to do that thing or to
Hmm.
be present in that, event. And at the same time, I'm going to say no today because, you know, whatever it is that's going on with me. Or, you know what? The other thing is maybe we say no and we express gratitude for being invited. And then maybe we don't even need to give them an answer as to
Hmm.
why. Okay. Because sometimes that might end up being more hurtful than just being able to separate with the
Hmm.
gratitude piece and then be able to go over here and take care of myself and they can take care of themselves and go out and find that other person that's going to
Hmm.
be a good fit for that event. So yes, I think that how I fill up my cup is I'm gonna work on being true to what my offerings are, and I'm gonna work with my ideal client. That's gonna be one of the things. I'm gonna have less
Hmm.
friction because I'm not trying to personally contort. And then I'm going to also check in with myself on a very regular basis and make sure that all the things that I'm putting into my day are filling me up in enough ways that I want to continue to say yes to them.
So what I heard was three things. Like, do I feel energized? Was I inspired? And was I able to inspire somebody else? So I think just since we talked about this, I have really taken a look at, I do like 10 events a week. I am at event after event after event after event. I'm at morning, I'm at coffee stuff, I'm at lunches, and I'm at evening stuff. And I really took a look at that after our conversation and thought, these morning things really fill me up. Everyone's drinking coffee. They're ready to rock and roll. These are my people. The lunch things, not quite as much. The after dinner, let's get together at the watering hole bar. Those are not my events. They are not my events. And I don't even need to give you the reasons why they're not. I don't meet the people that inspire me. I don't meet the people that are really doing business. I meet a lot of big talkers. I've just ruled out, this isn't for me. It messes with my bedtime. I have a very structured schedule. I get up really early to work out every day. This doesn't work for me for all these reasons. So I'm going to stick with early morning stuff that I have a lot of and lunches. And that's really my target. And that's where I'm getting all of my really good leads from, where I leave feeling energized and inspired. So I love that you just dumbed it down to like three.
Yeah.
If you're not feeling that way as you leave and you check in with yourself, time to set a new intention. But I don't think we give ourselves that permission in business. I haven't met another person like yourself from a networking event that's dumbed it down like that and given permission to shy away from events that are not your highest and best and not filling up. So I love that.
Yeah.
I think we need more of that.
I absolutely love your takeaways. And I also just want to say I'm really proud of you for like putting it through the filter and like realizing that those things, you had some great self-awareness and realizing that. And I also want to say that like the people going to the evening events who are like, that's their deal. Like, we don't have to say like, that's bad, right?
No,
we can just say, oh, that works well for you.
Sure.
And once again, thank you for thinking of me. That really makes me feel good that you saw me as being a valuable person at that event. And then be glad for them that they're going to mix and mingle in that way and that you don't need to be a part of it. So then they still appreciate their relationship with you because you've been grateful to them for the extension of the invite. And you know, the other thing we can do is we can say to them, hey, this doesn't work for me this time, but I hope you can hear a couple of no's from me and still know that I want to be invited. And this is like such a big deal because we're not closing a door. We're just saying like, I'm doing a little bit of, I'm doing a little bit more self-care. I'm being a little bit more aware of my energy, but I don't want you to think of me as like somebody that went and hid in a cave. I want you to think of me when something's really special and you know that I might connect really well with that. I still want you to pick up the phone. And I hope that you know, still do think of me and appreciate that I'm taking this time to kind of recalibrate and see what's working for me, so that we're just like keeping robust relationships in all those different meeting areas and not closing any doors, because in business we really don't want to close doors.
No. Which leads me to I feel like we've covered some of this, but speak to walking through like a type A that comes in looking for just finding some balance and exercise routine, and how you incorporate that into this mind, body, spiritual experience for them.
Yeah. So you asked me this question the other day on the phone and I just love it. And it's like our type A person comes in and they need a little encouragement, but we can't like shove all of this down their throat. We have to spoon feed it to them a little bit. So here's what I do. When I've got that like avid kind of over exerciser, and I have a few of them, I'm going to put right into their coaching. Like I'm going to put in there, write to me. I'm going to prescribe a walk. Okay. So I want them to slow down. I want them to get outside, and I'm going to put in there, because they've been giving me this exercise feedback in their regular strength training programming. And they're telling me like, where is it on the RPE scale and where does it fall on the pain scale? So I've gotten this data about the intensity of things, and I've gotten this data about the comfort or discomfort of things.
Uh-huh.
Now, when they're taking their walk, I actually want them to have self-awareness, but
Mm-hmm.
I can't, you know what? I can't shove self-awareness down anyone's throat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, hey, I want you, when you're on your walk, I want you to write back to me, what's a moment of awe or wonder
Mm.
that you had? So, like, maybe it's that you saw a view through the trees that you'd never seen before and it was really breathtaking, or maybe the cloud pattern, or maybe it's like some wildlife
Mm-hmm.
that you were really, you know, surprised by. So, I want them to write a moment of awe or wonder. I want them to, so I kind of ask it threefold so that they can like find something on their
Uh-huh.
walk and they can be looking for it. So awe or wonder, and then something that brought them joy would
Mm.
be the second part of the question. And then the last part of the question is a way in which you felt good in your body while you were having that experience. Okay.
Mm.
And so, like, for our over exerciser, our type A, like really driven person, maybe it's going to be that they actually noticed that the squat and lunge progressions made it so that they could climb that hill on their walk a little bit
Mm-hmm.
easier. So maybe they're going to have still like a really exercise type response, but maybe it's actually that they're going to see like a bird, you know,
Mm-hmm.
that like, you know, shifts them out of their zone. Or maybe they're going to be able to like realize that adding the walk into their day when they've got all these other like more tethered and difficult pieces in there, and then they're giving themselves a little bit of time for self-care, maybe that's going to actually bring them joy that they were able to take care of themselves in that like slower way
Mm-hmm.
that day. So my philosophy is that, like, just like we're talking about in business, we want to be a forklift with our
Mm-hmm.
clients. I was talking about not being a contortionist. That doesn't mean that I'm like a robot in all of
Uh-huh.
my programming with people. I can say, wow, this person needs more restorative. This
Mm-hmm.
person needs more like intense movement. And I can then pick and prescribe those different things. But then I also love saying I'm a personal trainer, but I'm also a coach, because a coach, to me, putting on that hat means I'm going to tap into some other concepts with these people that fall outside of that exercise
Mm-hmm.
concept. And I'm going to be able to ask them, you know, like, what awe and wonder did you see on your walk today? It doesn't have anything to do with like your strength or your mobility, but
Mm-hmm.
what it does is it's going to be like a deeper, more whole version of you
Mm-hmm.
feeling good within yourself, and that helps you every single day and every single moment of the day, you know? So
I love that.
that's my solution.
I love that. Well, I think I identify as a driver and a very A type personality that over exercises. I have all of those. So when you were saying that, I was like, check, check, check. That's me. I have found with a lot of the coaching that I have had, that is something that my coach has had to reintroduce, is like journaling and having a gratitude journal and really using my creative side of my brain that I tend to jump out of and stay just like drilling on business all day long. And when I can be in that
Mm-hmm.
creative space, oh, it's so much better. My cup is filled. Like I think it's so much better. So I love that you're speaking to that, especially for the driver type A personalities
Mm-hmm.
that isn't their default mode.
No. Can I jump in and ask you a
Please.
question? There's two things that I'm thinking of to wrap up. And one of them is that, like, you spoke to me about like really loving metrics. And
Oh,
I'm a metric lover, but maybe not on the same level that you are. So like I want to understand, like, how do you bring in that sense of like winning and achieving and striving and inspiring yourself and others by way of like assessing metrics about the
mm.
value of what you're bringing to the table?
I think it's more about sticking with the program, whatever is prescribed. So right now I'm doing a 75 hard challenge with a girlfriend of mine. I did this last year with a different partner, and I'm doing it this year with a girlfriend of mine, and just having that accountability. So you work out twice a day. One workout is outside. You read 10 pages of nonfiction. You do a selfie every day, which is not comfortable for me, which is so ridiculous, at the gym without makeup on. And then we're also journaling just as an added extra bonus. And so every morning as I leave the gym, my gratitude journal pops up with like, don't forget your gratitude journal. And just following that prescription has been so freeing. I know what's going to happen. I mean, I know what's going to happen, but it's more of just the way that my body will feel at the end of the 75 days. It's more the practices that I've put into place. And I feel really good about achieving those and sticking with it.
Oh, I absolutely love that. I absolutely love that. And then the last question that I wanted to ask you is like, how do you bring these principles of mind body into the world of real estate? And how do you bring it into your work in regards to, just making sure that your cup is full and that you're full and that you're working with your ideal client as well?
Oh, thanks. So as a realtor, I feel like it's pretty easy because I get to help people and I love helping people. But in my role with the law firm, ARG, I'm bringing in clients for the law firm. And that has been new and challenging for all of the reasons. I also recruit attorneys. So I've recruited agents for a long time. This is sort of a new role that I'm really enjoying. And I found the best part of this for me is collaborating. So I've had to find new reasons and new questions to find out, well, what struggles are you going through right now? What holes in your business? What problems are you having with your clients? As for my realtor friends, what problems are you having as an apartment manager? And then finding a way that we can collaborate on that and they could use our law firm and I can give something back. I'm always, always, always looking for the give back. And when I can come in and say, hey, here's a way I can help you and here's what I can give you back, that's what I'm always looking for. And that's like that fills up my cup when I'm able to collaborate and do something for somebody else. I'm not just asking for the referral. I'm looking for a way to build their business or plug the hole in their boat. We all have them in our business. We all have them. So I think it's been finding better questions to ask. And I loved your idea with the forklift. I'm like, if you could speak to that before we get off, because I feel very strongly. I do a lot with women's groups. I have a great and supportive, amazing group of women around me. And I think as women, we are more apt to have that. But when it comes out to the business world, incorporating this forklift idea of what you're doing that like inspires you and lifts you up when you're able to go do that for somebody else. Can you speak to that?
Absolutely. So this happened after that networking event that we both went to, but I reached out to everybody that we did speed networking with, and you got that email, but somebody else got that email too. And they had it like you already forklifted me because you're having me on your podcast today. But this other person from the speed networking reached out and he said, I love your logo. It gave a little background about the fact that he's also kinesiology like me. And then he said, I went over to your Google, I Google searched you and I saw that you've got 5-star reviews and I just love that. What are ways that you go about engaging with your clients to get more reviews on Google?
That's a good question.
And I was like, whoa, how cool, because you know what? This person reminded me that I haven't put out a blast to get some more reviews lately. But then he went above and beyond and I told him, I'll occasionally put the link into my newsletter that I send out monthly. And he goes, let me show you the way that I like to ask people for a Google review. And he sent me his script. And he was just straight forklifting because you know what? He didn't need to do that. But him and we've created a valuable connection. I've scratched his back. I've actually referred him to my HOA to see if he can handle the care of our pool, which gets a lot of high traffic. And then he's gotten this referral from me, and then he's giving me this script of how he's going to generate more quality Google reviews. So it's like there's so many different expressions of how we can lift up the other person. And you were so spot on earlier when you said that you have to untether yourself from the expectation that you forklifting someone else is going to mean that they're going to come in and forklift you. But how the universe works, right, with like these polarities of things, that your positive output is going to lead to a positive benefit for yourself because we can just we can just kind of rely on that,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
No, I love that.
Yeah,
I love that.
yeah,
When we were talking about that the other day on the phone, I was asking you what you do to lift people up, especially in business, because I feel
yeah.
like that is not something we talk about often enough. I've got a few things of my own that I love doing, but tell me what yours are.
Yeah, so absolutely. So you shared with me that you send out these handwritten thank you cards
I
every
do a
week, and
lot of
I was so inspired by that. That's a forklift in itself. I just so this weekend, as I already told you, I had this massage, and I
Mhm,
also had the opportunity to go get my hair cut. And it's like um I share with the other person like ways that I'm feeling inspired in business. So that's wonderful because we're
mhm,
having a conversation. That's a business person doing hair. And then I let her know that I want to hop on and give her a review.
mhm.
And I can't tell you because when you're getting your haircut, you can see your face in the mirror
Uh-huh.
and you can see theirs. And like her her face when I let her know that I was going to do that gesture. And then I went above and beyond and said, I'm also talking to people about how you do those essential oils and you give me that
Mhm.
scalp massage before we begin the haircut. And she just like I'm not this isn't like anything crazy or
Mhm.
random, but I'm literally just telling her like this is what I love about you and why I keep coming back. And then
Mhm.
like I don't need to expect that she's going to do the same for me because, like we talked about earlier, we're going to put it out there, and you know what, boomerang, it's probably coming right
Definitely.
back.
Definitely.
Yeah. So, sympathy cards. I have a
Mhm.
client who recently lost a loved one, and I didn't feel like I was getting through to her on like a personal level through our coaching platform, and
Mhm.
so I went ahead and sent her a sympathy card that I hand wrote, just like your thank you cards. And you know what? Whatever I like that, you know what? That felt so good for me
Uh-huh.
that it's great that it's going to feel really good for her when she receives it. But mostly it just felt really good for me to be able to write that to her. So,
I
yeah.
love that. Yeah, I was out. I'm always out business to business, and I had gone through a bunch of businesses. I left all my information, left flyers on what we can do, how we can collaborate, etc. And one of the guys got back to me, and I sent him a handwritten note and said, "Thanks so much for following up. I'd love to meet with you." So we met for coffee. It ended up being on Valentine's Day, and Valentine's Day I brought around Valentines for all of the grown-ups, and I was with probably 30 people. So I had bags of candy and caramel corn tied to balloons. And the adults were like, oh my gosh, it was third grade all over again. Everyone was
I love
so
it.
excited. And I thought that I want to incorporate that exactly into every single month because the like awe that I received, and this guy became a client immediately. He was like, I'm so impressed with everything you're doing. How can we work together? I'm like, if all my meetings went like that, made you leave like jazz, right? Like wow, this guy was so impressed with like what we can do and how we can work together in the collaborations. How many more meetings would start off that way if they first knew my nature and my heart? They had a handwritten
Mm-hmm,
note. They knew
mm-hmm,
that I really wanted to work with them. I showed up with a, $2 bag that like everyone was so impressed with. So I want
mm-hmm.
to find more ways to do that again and again. And when you spoke to the filling up your cup and feeling inspired, I was like, man, I need more of that. But it's
I
that check
love it.
in to know if you're really getting it that I don't
Mm-hmm,
think in business I do often enough. I do when I finish
mm-hmm.
yoga. I know exactly
Yep.
how I feel, but I don't do
Yeah.
that same awareness as I leave a business meeting or a networking meeting. So I love that you brought that up because I think this is great business advice that we need to
Yeah.
incorporate into everything we're doing as business professionals.
Yeah, yes, beautiful. Well, thank you so much for having me on today. It's been an absolute joy,
Absolutely.
and it's been completely forklift both ways
Oh,
because I
same.
feel so inspired and lifted up by what you've said today too. Thank
I
you
love
so
it.
much.
Absolutely. Okay. I can't wait to do this again.
Okay, thank you so much for having me, Jessica. I'll see you
You too.
soon.
Thanks for sharing all of your good nuggets and all of your time. I appreciate you. Talk to you soon.
Thank you. Bye bye.